What's up, YouTube? Angry Jackalope here, Rob Ricks. I'm here to talk about Infini. It's a sci-fi flick I just had the fortune of watching. A cursory observation, this movie looks like it's just going to be your common sci-fi, you know, alien type knockoff, something going on, scary, tense moments. I gotta tell you, there was quite a few moments in this movie that had me really ass clenching. I puckered through quite a bit of it. There were some scenes that were very tense and very interesting. Right off the bat, there was a few things in there that I thought was very novel, very unique. Their take on teleportation, converting the bodies into a binary stream and blasting it to the farthest reaches of the universe instantaneously, and basically dealing with data corruption. That fucking scared me. Just that concept alone fucking freaked me out. Just the thought somebody's gonna port my ass somewhere and there might be a couple of O's missing out of that and I'm not coming back together completely cohesive. That's fucked up. And you might ask yourself, why would a motherfucker voluntarily jump somewhere and possibly get corrupted? Well, the fucking most of the world is in a dire state of poverty, and so a select few people get to go into these types of things and join up with these. It's kind of like search and rescue teams, but they go to the most hazardous fucking spots. And this particular movie, the most furthest reaches away is a station called Infini, and Infini has a problem. And the story follows a new recruit, first day on the job. He's got the cliche pregnant wife. She's like, hey, no matter what you do, come home to me. You can see all of that inside of the trailer. And there's Howler, howling away. Hey, Howler, how you doing? Anyway, there's some kind of a madman on that station, and he's equipped some explosive. All of this stuff is pretty much kind of on a trailer. I'm not gonna spoil too much, but anyway, he sets up some dire situations for the Earth. So they, the LA group is supposed to dispatch out and get him. One of the LA, the new guy, the new recruit, the rookie of all people, he ends up on Infini and has to deal with the situation. And another search team goes out to rescue him as well as deal with the problem. And there's a lot of interesting time differential. For example, he might have been gone for 5 minutes from Earth. 5 minutes on Earth equates to roughly 6 weeks or something ridiculous like that on Infini. In any event, the movie, for having a low budget, sorry about any background noise you may hear. I've got family in town for my wife's graduation, and they're inside having a grand old time, and I decided to shoot this review. Anyway, sorry about that. So there's, for being a low budget movie, the scenery and the footage, the actual shots look really fucking good. It's at least comparable to any of the Alien movies. Now, I will tell you, there's no big monsters. There's nothing like that. This is kind of, you can almost think of like The Thing without any of the CG, but or Invasion of the Body Snatchers or anything like that. I think you can extrapolate a lot of that from the trailer that's out there. Now, I saw another guy do a review on this, and I really liked what he did. He kind of gave an overview on it, and then he went to a spoiler. And I'm going to give him a nod and say that's a really good approach. So, because I do want to discuss some pieces of this movie and why I like it. So, do I like the movie? Yes, I do like the movie. Do I think most of my viewers will like this movie? Probably not. I think only a select few of you will like it, and as is the case with me and my movies that I tend to review, They tend to be a little bit more eclectic and thought-provoking. And this one does have some good action, has some good violence in it, has some really amazing acting that I enjoyed tremendously. Um, and when you watch it, you'll see, the actors had to stretch themselves in a lot of different directions, especially the ones that make it through to the later half of the movie. People die in this fucking movie. It's just inevitable. And it goes to a shitstorm relatively quickly. Um, so I would say, yes, this movie is Jackalope approved, Angry Jackalope approved. Um, but again, it is not Aliens. It's a sci-fi thriller, no doubt about it. But it is not Aliens. It's not The Thing. It's not of that same caliber. This is a very low budget film that did good with their money. Okay? Now, that's it for the non-spoiler part. So, I'm going to get into the spoilers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Okay, now, the planet itself is the fucking alien. So this ship, Infini, is mining off of this fucking planet. And by accident, they discover that this motherfucking thing is alive. And they started off feeding it little bits of blood to see what it would do, and it started to take the blood over. They gave it more elaborate organs and things of that nature, and it started to replicate those things out. And they discovered really quickly this fucking thing could recreate a living being. So that's the thing element, right? And there's, in parts of it where the main character is walking around, you can see they've got tubes with fucking organs in it, and you see the notes of the lab person is saying, perfect organism, perfect organism, perfect. So this thing is a living fucking planet with an intelligence, probably a hive mentality. So it infects rapidly, and the notes said that average people just got infected immediately, and other folks had a duration of maybe 2 hours, which causes the problem with the main character, because even though they can pour it out in a shorter duration, they were looking at an 8-hour window, which was bad because he was already glitching out and feeling the rage and kind of starting to lose it. I want to point out a couple of pieces that may or may not have been obvious to you if you were watching it. The first one being, there was discussion of the alpha. Now, what was the purpose of the alpha? Was the alpha something that they wanted to see if it could withstand the trials, almost a gladiatorial arena type thing? It's like where was this alien entity testing humanity to see if it could, survive with its primal rage kicked into overdrive? Or was it looking to hijack a human, go back to the Earth, and take the Earth over? Which, may or may not have been the case. So there's a point where the main character asks the medic and says, hey, I need you to think. I need you to think, what can we do to slow this thing down, make this thing, fight it or whatever? And she just says, death, die. And then later on, he decides, fuck it, I got nothing to lose, and he offs himself. And he has this monologue where he basically says, you chose the worst of us, and you did this, and you did that, and he had a picture of his wife, and, he was probably feeling really sad and homesick and regretful and knowing that he wasn't going to see his baby born and all this other stuff. And there was another character there that had family as well, and he died. And so it's kind of interesting because you would think the alien that's inhabiting these hosts, it's communicating, because there's a point where one of the guys is sitting there touching the little finger thing, and he's communicating all telepathically with it. And I just was like, okay, so this entity is smart enough to get in their heads and know what's going on and taking people over rapidly from the inside out. So he kills himself, and then there's a point where the things, the goo, the primordial ooze starts covering all the people that die. And then very rapidly at the end of the movie, people are alive again. And they're acting like they don't know what went down, but they do know some shit went down. Now, whether or not they were just claiming to be, have amnesia or whatever so that they could avoid any difficult questions is one thing. But the one guy for sure, he fucking knew, because there's a point where he sees these semi-translucent variants of them off and through one of these corridor windows or something like that, and he looks, and it's holding his wife's pictures. Now, that's where it gets ambiguous, right? That's where it's kind of interesting. Did his act of him killing himself and his little monologue teach the entity about love and compassion, or did humanity pass a trial? I think it's the latter. I think humanity dodged a massive bullet when Homeboy killed himself. I think he saved the world because, he decided, fuck it, I'm not gonna chance bringing his shit home or anything else, so he fucking slices himself open. But they heal him up, and then they all go back home, and everybody's fucking nervous, and they all jump back through, and the people are testing them and checking them, seeing if they've got any bio agents or any kind of thing like that, and they all test clean. So unless these things, I think they just reconstructed the organs and brought them back to life, and that was that. I don't think the aliens hitched a ride back home. I think the aliens basically said, okay, these motherfuckers are here. Let's go ahead and drive them fucking batshit crazy. Let's see what happens. Let's try to find the alpha, the strongest of all of them, and see what he fucking does. See if he brings us back home and infects his people, or what he does. And the fact that he killed himself, I think, gave us the ultimate redemption. And I think, he was talking all of this stuff about them being infantile and them being immature and everything else. And perhaps he was incorrect. Maybe humanity was the one that was immature and juvenile and everything, and the aliens wanted to prove a point and wanted to see, because we're so quick to go and it could have been an environmental film. It's like we're so quick to go and deplete resources from all these different places just for our own selfish needs, and perhaps the alien wanted to prove a point. Don't start no shit, won't be no shit. Don't come drilling on my fucking body, and I won't go destroy your whole race of people. Anyway, that was my take on it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. I can see how half the people that watch this are just going to go, huh? What the fuck? And just be like, I fucking hate this movie. Me personally, I love movies like this because it allows me to sit there and throw some stuff out there and have a meaningful dialogue and say, hey, what the fuck did you guys think? Same thing when I watch Monsters Dark Continent. I thought that was a great movie. I like when movies have something to say, even if they say it kind of late in the movie. The review I just saw earlier from the guy that gave me the idea of splitting the review into two pieces. He was complaining that a lot of it happened at the end, and I think it was a really good method of bait and switch. You watch this part in the very beginning, and you're thinking that they had some kind of, corruption of the signal or something for teleporting or whatever. And you're sitting there thinking, fuck, what the hell happened? And then when you get all the way to the end, you go, oh, that's what fucking happened, And I thought the pacing was actually fine. I wasn't upset. I was sitting there and I enjoyed it. And I was just sitting there going, wow, this ended up being a deep motherfucking movie. So anyway, that's it for now. I hope you like it. If you like it, please subscribe. Tell all your friends about it. Until next time, be good to each other.